This is Sara Sach with Posh Pooch Designs, and today's video is more of a technique than it is a crochet pattern. The other day we decided, my granddaughter and I, that my dogs needed some new collars. Theirs were getting pretty worn out. And I thought it would be a great idea to just recycle the collars they already had and turn them into a reflective dog collar. You can also purchase an inexpensive dog collar at your local Dollar Tree, Walmart, or Target. They have lots of them that are just a couple of bucks, and it's a great idea to make one of these for your dogs. They work for any size dog. You just measure your dog's neck or go by the collar size, and then give it just a little bit more space, because this is not going to be their everyday collar. This is a collar you slip on when you're getting ready to go out for their evening walk, or if you're someone who likes to hike up in the mountains. It's a good idea to have a reflective dog collar, because sometimes they're off chasing those bunnies and you lose track of them and it gets dusk. Or you're camping out and your dog runs off in the morning when it's still dark, and it's a good idea to help spot them in the woods or just anywhere that you are. If you live in a residential area and you're out walking your dog on their leash, it's a good idea to have something reflective if it's dark, so other cars and people can spot them. It's just to help keep them safe. So since I'm using the older collars that my dogs used, you can see they're pretty worn out, but the buckles are still in really great shape, and that's important to check if you're going to recycle your pet's old collar, because you want those buckles to still work. So what you're going to need for this little project is you're going to need, of course, a collar, and you're going to need some reflective yarn. And you can use Red Heart's reflective yarn, or you can use Hobby Lobby's reflective yarn, or any other reflective yarn that you have. It doesn't matter. This is a worsted weight number 4, and the Red Heart is a number 5. It doesn't matter. Both of them will work great. I did a black on Maximo's, and for today's demonstration, I'm actually going to use this bright pink for Rosie's. Now, for a crochet hook, if you're going to use the Hobby Lobby, you're going to want to use a G hook. And if you're using the Red Heart brand, you're going to want to use your H hook. And the H hook is a 5mm, and the G hook, I think, is a 4.5mm. It's just a little bit smaller. But if you don't have one or the other, either will work, because the main thing is we're going to crochet tightly and bunch them up and try to cover all the space so that the other collar doesn't show through underneath. You'll also need a needle to weave in those ends, because we want to make sure they're in nice and tight, and of course a pair of scissors. The other thing that you might need is a tape measure, because you want to make sure that it's going to fit your dog's neck, but we want it to fit loosely so that it can go right on top with their other collar that they wear every day, because this is not an everyday collar, although they could wear it every day if you want them to. So gather up your supplies, and then I'll show you how to do it. The first thing that we need to do, I want to leave a little bit of a good sized tail for weaving in. And for this project, we want to make sure that we have enough to weave in nice and tightly. So I'm going to leave about 6 or 8 inches and start with my slip knot. All right, and then we're going to take the collar and we're going to start on this end. And the way to tell the difference is this side has the little buckle. So we're going to start on this end. And it can be just a little bit clumsy at first working around the collar, but once you start working, you'll see it's not too bad. So we're going to put our yarn on this side of the collar, and we're going to take our hook underneath, and we're going to grab that yarn and bring it up. And you can see those 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over and go through both loops. There's 1 and 2. And we want to try to stitch tightly. I know usually I say don't stitch too tight, loosen up, but on this project we really want to stitch tightly. We don't want any excess loops that our dog's toenails can get caught in, or their teeth. All right, so that was one single crochet. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how that's across the top. We're going to take our hook under, pull it under, yarn over, and go through both loops. And you can see it's just a little bit clumsy at first. And it almost makes it easier if you go through one loop and then the other. Tighten it down after each stitch, going under, pulling a loop over, yarn over, and go through those stitches. And what I do is I'll make about 6 or 8 single crochets going around, and then I'll squish them over. And then I'll do a few more. Now I'm holding my tension pretty tightly. We go under, grab that loop and pull it up, yarn over, and go through both. And by now, after you've done a few stitches, you'll see that it's really not as difficult and clumsy as it was to start with. Now, make sure your loops are at the top all together and squish it down. And we'll just keep doing this until we reach that little buckle that's right here. So we're going to continue stitching single crochets all the way up until we reach that buckle. There isn't a set amount of stitches because every dog's neck is a different size. And your dog may be like, say, a bulldog has a nice thick neck, or it may be a teeny tiny chihuahua. So I made a few more stitches and I squished them down, and we're going to continue to make single crochet stitches until we reach this buckle here that's in the center. It's our adjusting buckle where we adjust the sizes. Okay, just need a few more. And what I usually do also when I'm doing this particular project is I'll make my single crochet stitch and I'll give that string a little bit of a pull. I'm going to squish some more down. I still got a little more room. And it gets a little clumsy again when we get near the buckle. But you want to get as close as you can, and I kind of turn it up like that so I can get those stitches way up close to that buckle. Okay, I'm going to push a few more down. I'm going to try to get one more in there because I want it to be nice and close. Okay, so now I'm right at that buckle, and I'm going to just chain 3 chains. 1, 2, 3, and that's going to get us around this buckle, and then we're just going to start doing single crochets on the other side of the buckle. And we'll just continue doing what we've been doing, single crocheting around our collar until we reach down to this little, that's not really a buckle, it's just a D-ring they use to put our dog tags on. So we're just continue on with our single crochets till we reach that metal loop. Stitching a few stitches and pushing them down. Stitching a few single crochets and pushing them down, bunching them up. I continued to single crochet, squishing my stitches up together to cover the collar till I reached the dog tag ring, and you just push it over to the other side there and continue stitching single crochets till you get to the collar clip. So I'm going to put a few more stitches in there, try to get as close as I can. Pulling that string down. I'll try to get one more around there. There we go. I think that's about as many stitches as I can get in there. And so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to leave myself a nice long tail of yarn so we can weave that in. Tie that off. And I'm going to show you how I weave that in, because it's real important to do this so it's not going to come out, because if your dog's out in the woods or you're taking a walk, you don't want it wearing out and coming off. So I'm going to thread the end of that yarn onto my needle, and I'm just going to go and make some loop stitches around the top braid of where that single crochet was, or is, I should say. And then I'm going to go up a stitch and just go back through those stitches. And then I'm going to turn and go right back through those stitches again. And pull that. And of course that needs to be pulled back over. And clip that off. There's that reflective tape that goes through there. Alright, so we need to do the same thing on the other end. And we'll do it exactly the same. We'll thread that needle. And we'll go in a few of those, pull that a little bit, single crochet stitches. And then we'll turn and go back the other way. And come back the other way. And I think that's a good way to get it to stay put. Alrighty, and then we'll clip that off. Now, the crochet portion here is done, and the collar's all covered except for this little square. Now, if it doesn't bother you that that is not covered, that's fine. Some of them I do, some of them I don't. On this black one that I made for Maximo, you can see that I covered the little square with another piece of yarn. And what I did is I just took a long piece of matching, or you can do non-matching, make it matchy-matchy if you want to. Threaded that on my needle. So to cover up that square, if you want to, I just threaded on about 24 inches of yarn onto my yarn needle, and I'm just going to go right up through that chain on the end where we chained those three, and I'll just hold that with my thumb or my finger underneath, and then I just started wrapping the yarn around that little square. And I just went one way, there we go, then back the other until I was pretty confident that it was covered enough, and then I'm turning it onto the back. And I'll take that needle, go underneath, and then I just tied a knot. Just like that. And this one, I'm just going to go underneath all those loops and pull that and cut it. And then I'll take this other end, and I'm going to put my needle back through there, thread that on that needle. There we go. And pull that one under. And clip that off. And that covers that little square if you want it covered. One thing to remember is as your dog is wearing this, these are going to move more than these do. On the smaller ones that I didn't cover it. But I thought I would try to see if it would work well on these. But this is how you take an existing dog collar. You can recycle yours or you can get some new ones. And it's a good idea, since it's not going to be your main dog collar, to go ahead and get one at the Dollar Tree or Walmart really cheap. A lot of times they're on sale or clearance. And this is a neat way to help keep your dog safe. And if you have some of these reflective yarns laying around, another good way to use your reflective yarns and also recycle your old dog collars.